All right, Bafundi. So this is another alteration that we're doing. This is actually a sample dress that is from the coolest brand called the BAM Collective. Oh, such fashion things. And at a pop-up sale, or I'm actually not sure exactly where or what, but they had this sample dress, and this lady just really loved it, and she wanted it, and she convinced the guy that she could buy it. So anyway, as you can see, I hope you can see this on the camera. There's a bit of black fusing here because it was just a sample dress. There's this black fusing there, and it kind of shines through the calico. So the lady asked me, "Can we make it fash?" And she wants to now do it in a velvet. So we're going to put a stripe of black velvet along there. So let's make that happen. So what I'm going to do is take some patterning paper. This is just some spare paper I have because this is not such a big piece or big section, and lay this out flat. So this is a huge advantage of um, the chalk, what's this? The cork, is that you can like pin your work like so and get it lying nice and neat and flat, and then draw around the edge of this. And then later when I pick this up, I'll be able to draw in. I'm going to draw a 5 centimeter, or probably 4 centimeter pattern piece. Now the other interesting thing here, if I get to a seam here, let's say I wanted to put a seam there. I am going to put just for the pattern piece, I'm going to put a seam here on the side. Again, such a huge advantage of the cork is that how I can do, and you can do this also on a cutting board, or maybe if you can work on the iron, that also helps. It's not, or the ironing board. It's not so easy to draw on a soft surface like an ironing board, but you can then put the pins in, so then it works like that. So I can put these pins like so, and then when I take them out, I'll see where's my seam line there. So I actually already did this with just some patterning paper that I had, pieces of scrap, and I just traced out that whole edge and then gave myself a 4 centimeter band that we're then going to put over there. Now I will confess that I was just not really paying attention to what is the right and the wrong side. So this is the right side, and here's the front, and there's the back, because I did already cut a strip of Velcro and it was a disaster. So I'm now doing it again, which is why I already have this. But yeah, then I just, as you can see, trace the front, trace the back. I don't want to put a seam for the piece that I'm going to put, so I just joined it there. Now this is obviously without seam allowance. So I'm going to add my 1 centimeter seam allowance on either side of this. So let's do that. Now you can see here, I already did cut like a madman. So let's see, this Velcro looks fine. And I could not determine if there's a pile on this. There's always a pile on Velcro. And I think it's going in this direction. My hands are sort of rough from all of the freaking pins that I put on. I think downwards is softer. And what I had done, like a madman, is I'd put this upwards, like that. So actually the wrong side was facing upwards. So this needs to flip. I don't know if I'm going to now fit it in this section. No, I don't think that's going to work. Let's see, we're going to have to fit it in this section then. Somehow, because I'm definitely not paying 900 Rand a meter again. Now I was able to just get a 30 centimeter strip And I was a bit of a coward. I was like, oh, if I make a mistake, I'll just cut it again. Not realizing I had to flip this. Like a flipping crazy person. Okay. And now, just before I cut, or just before I carry on with all of this marking and things, I'm going to look at this dress, because there's the front, yeah, there's the zip. Yeah, so that front is going to, yeah, can't believe, after so many years, you can make such a simple error, like an insane person. Also, the zip is on the side, so it's not really symmetrical. I can't just flip this over, which you would have been able to do if the zip was on the center back. But in any event, I'm just going to trace this around. Suppose I could one time just add my seam allowance rather than tracing twice. So I'm just putting a 1 centimeter seam allowance all the way around. And then I'm going to cut that, and as usual, I cut just on the outside. There it is. So I cut that strip with my centimeter seam allowance each side, and I just stitched like a guide stitch, about a centimeter there. And I did stitch with the fluffy part of the fabric down, so that the feeder dog is dealing with that and not my machine foot. You'll see velvet is such a difficult fabric to work with because it doesn't lie flat, it always like shifting because of this pile. But anyway, you can see here even, this is definitely not symmetrical here. So I'm definitely going to be working that out as I go. And then the other thing that, I can say is, here, obviously I notched that so I can flip under like that. And here, where it's, excess there, I cut out little triangles so that they can fold up nicely. So from there, the next thing I need to do is mark here where I'm going to place this exactly. And before I did this, I marked like the inside of a hem somewhere. And just check that this does erase nicely with heat. Always double check yourself. And so I'm just marking up 4.5, because this thing, it's about 4, and I just want to make sure that it completely covers this black. So I'm going to make it 4.5, and just go all the way around. And I'm trying as much as I can to measure perpendicular from the edge. So I'm not measuring, for example, down like this, 4.5. I'm measuring perpendicular from the edge of the garment, 4.5. It's going around, going around. And then what I'll do from there is hopefully not have made the same mistake twice and cut this the wrong way around. But then line up the edge of my ironed up edge to, yeah, okay, this does, so far so good. Looks like it is going to actually work. So yeah, I just want to line up the edge of my ironing to the edge of this point. I'm going to go around, do all of that. So I've gone around and pinned, not exactly on the marks, I've moved it a little bit. As you can see, I do need enough here at the top to turn under. I'm not going to be able to fold over, unfortunately, because of these straps here. Maybe I will fold over and just, no, I'm going to just tuck it in like that and stitch it. But here, I'm not going to have enough. So here, I just need to move this a little bit higher. And hopefully not disturb the symmetry too much. So the most important thing for this is that it must look like part of the plan. So we will have to be very, very accurate on symmetry. Okay. So now that I've got that done, I'm going to go around and baste this. I'm going to baste 3 lines. I'm going to baste one here, one in the middle, and then one here at the top. And this top one, I'll baste it already so this is folded under, so we can see what is the symmetry looking like. Is it looking fashion? Initially, my plan was to do the 3 basting stripes, but I found when I was basting from this side, as I went, I was ending up kind of shifting the fabric and was just being a bit unpleasant. So what I'm going to do now is just go around, same as if you do a hem on a very soft fabric. Go here and there and you put a pin, making sure that it's folding exactly straight. It's not accidentally curving somewhere. And I'm just going to go around and do that. Until I feel I've pinned it sufficiently. And then, I suppose then it's actually going to be the question of, do we need to move it in order to gain better symmetry? Do we need to move the bottom one? No one can know. I'll have to see. Let me do the pins, then we'll look. So there, I've done all of the pinning. You can see I'm trying to keep it more or less on the edge, and I'll go around and hand stitch that. But you can see this section and this section, these are not equal. So I need to go around, unpick this, and kind of tuck it in a little bit so that we can get a symmetrical shape here before we carry on. So I fixed up that little mismatch there. I just kind of tuck this a little bit further in. Last thing I'm going to do is sort out these edges. Here I'm just going to measure with my eyes about 1 centimeter. Cut that off. Now this is a little bit complicated. I suppose let's see if I don't have to undo that. Maybe I just have to undo that one. I think I'll have to undo that bottom one. This top one, maybe not. No. I will not receive peace if I just do that craziness. So, see there, I'm just securing it. Undoing just that little portion. And then kind of the same story. Shifting it under. This one, of course, is going to be a bit tough, so I'm going to try and corner it. So much easier if this was not velvet. Because of course you want to cover this calico, but also have enough space for the zip. So yeah, I mean that's basically what's happening. I'm just going to finish off these edges. I'll give it a baste as well, because I want to iron this before I start stitching. And I don't want to iron over the pins. It's going to scratch my non-stick surface of the iron. Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to baste that little edge. Now that I see this, I will be sorting that out. I'm just basting a little bit close to the edge there. And then, yeah, I'll give it an iron, and we'll be stitching all of this by hand. I just thought I'd quickly pop back and just show you this one. I'm trying to turn under this corner. It's going to be such a nightmare. So what I'm going to do is first fold it like so, so that it comes glush with the corner there, and then fold in. Just going to fold it a little bit less than the corner, just because it's so like flimsy. As I fold the other 2 edges in, that edge is going to move outwards back to the corner. There you go. So at the end of the day, it's folding this part down first and then the other two parts. Yeah, there we go. Based, iron, hand stitch. Yeah, so continuing with this, I'm just needing it to go just that fraction over the top. And actually, I'm just going to, make sure that it pulls all the way over onto this back piece. So I'm actually going to pull the stitch over because we can't have that beige sticking out there. So, same as with the collar of a jacket, you often have to pull your basting out as you go because it's not quite as millimeter perfect as you need it to be. And yeah, at the end of the day, you can see I'm just making sure that I can stitch in here. Then here I can kind of unfold a little bit, give me just a little bit of extra, grab it there, and then we'll just pull it over to the back. So that here at the top we don't see any of that beige. So I am going to now spend the next couple of hours of my life doing that. Yeah, so I thought I'll just show you the last couple of stitches here. Sometimes it does take me a short while just to get a good technique going while I figure out what is the base. You see here I'm grabbing from this underside that's been understitched and then a bit of the velvet. And actually this velvet, it's so dense, all of the furs and things, that you don't see the stitch at all, which is great. So I'm just going to go ahead and stitch that all the way to the end. You see, this is then pulling it over a little bit to the back so that you're really not going to see any of that beige around the top. So see, they're skipping the front layer, so grabbing this back portion, skipping the front layer, and grabbing the velvet. And yeah, I've been taking out the basting as I go. Sometimes the basting was too, how can I say it, was holding the velvet too low down, so there wasn't enough for it to come all the way over. Okay, so here we are at the end, and I'm going to do the same as on the other side, kind of go just halfway down the zip. I don't want to let the velvet get caught in the zip. And then I'm going to do something really crazy, which is to take out all of the basting. Because as we've done this, we've shifted it around a little bit. We'll look on the front in a moment. Now, fortunately, the zip is on the sides, it's actually under the arm. So if you see a little bit of the beige there, it won't be as big of a drama as if you see it on the center front or center back. Okay, I'm just going to knot off there. I'm going to just do a little knot, a little bit underneath where I know the Velcro is going to go. Yeah, so there you see, like I hope you can see that on the camera. There's like a little bit of a ruffle there, and this is just because, like I say, the basting wasn't holding it exactly where it should be. So the stitching has kind of pulled it into another shape as we go. So I'm going to take all of this out and then iron it again and then rebaste and do the under portion. One thing I can say here is obviously it would have been a lot easier if it was overlocked and then it could just fold over here and stitch there. Then I wouldn't have to stitch so incredibly neatly. But it's got these ties here for the neck. They'd come out of this join, and I could have unpicked them and gone that whole route, but I just felt this was going to be easier if I just do the whole thing by hand. Obviously that's because hand stitching and me are besties. Everyone is different. This is just how I've chosen to make the fashion. So just back from the iron, just gave all of that bit of a press. Now I'm going to go and hand stitch it in or baste it again, but I just want to go here and there with the pin. Just make sure this is folding directly down, because by hand I could easily accidentally put it to the side and end up with this story again. So I'm just going to put a pin here and there just to really guide where the fabric is, so that by hand I don't end up accidentally shifting it in a funny direction. And then, I don't know, I'm feeling a bit extra today, so I'll probably do one quite close to the edge, one in the middle, and then double check my measures and my symmetry before I do one right at the bottom. So yeah, let me go ahead and do all of that fashion. Esh Bafundi deliver. Look at this. Hope you can see that on the camera, but the black of that fusing is coming to around here. Now this is not there. I have to now shift this. I'm going to have to unpick that. Oh, deliver. I think what I'm going to go, one thing that I have to say about tailoring, sewing in general, you always have to be checking. Like, check as you go. Don't just finish up and then notice. But I mean, like even me, that happens. So I'm going to go ahead and iron this flat. And then come again, fold it under. I think I'm going to unpick this beautiful guy that I did there. Come again. You see, some of it's fine, but anyway, yeah, come again and then fold it so that it covers that black portion. That is my life. And there it is. Went over it again, pin that again, check for symmetry again. One trick I can say for symmetry is to hold it upside down like this. Your eye will easily spot a mistake, or more easily spot a mistake if it's upside down, to make sure that both sides are the same. And now I'm just going to go around. I'm going to start off here. As we did last time, I'm going to first fold that corner in. This one I might even leave a little bit in like that, because this is going to come in. This portion needs to come in like that. I'm actually just going to leave a bit of a step there, just to save myself some emotional drama. I'm going to start here on the side. unfortunately, like we've seen, the velvet, the furriness of it means it hides your stitches quite nicely. So I can do a nice strong whip stitch and my stitches will not show in the least. So there's really, from here, nothing to it. I'm just going to carry on stitching all the way around. Here, I don't know if I really want to go through the pain of trying to get that into a corner, or if I'm just going to let that edge kind of angle away from the zip a little bit. I think I'm going to do that, to be honest. It's just really going to save me some heartache. So I'm just going to let that angle happen over there, rather than trying to get to a 1000% point. Yeah, and then just going along with the whip stitch and closing this all up, making the fashion fabulous as I go. There we go. So I'm just going to carry on with that. Yeah, there it is, all done. Now the most fun part, putting out this basting, and then I'll just give it one last iron. You see, sometimes when you iron over a baste, you can iron those marks in. So I'll give that a last iron, and then this project and these tiers are done.